friends, you're welcome once again to another learning session. Today in our math class, we'll be looking at addition and subtraction of like fractions. Addition and subtraction of like fractions. In our previous lessons, we looked at fractions and we said that fractions are part of a whole. They are numbers that are not complete, they are not like up to one, they are parts of a whole. And then we mentioned that fractions are represented by one number written on top of another number. You have a number and then there is a short horizontal line and then there is another number written below. And we went on to say that the number at the top, they want something like this. Okay, that's how fractions are represented. So we said that the number at the top is called the numerator, while the number below, under, is the denominator. And we went on to look at some types of fractions, like we looked at proper fractions, improper fractions, whole, like fractions and unlike fractions. Okay, and we said that proper fractions are those that the upper number is smaller than the lower number, that is, the numerator is smaller than the denominator, is proper. Why is it proper? Because the one below we said is like mommy, and mommy is carrying baby. Remember? Just to help us remember, this is actually the denominator and this is the numerator. Right? So we said if a fraction is like this, where the upper one is smaller than the lower one, is a proper fraction. But where you have the upper one being bigger than the lower number, mommy is on top and baby is carrying mommy, we say it is what? Improper. That is, it is not right. It shouldn't be. So this is called improper fraction, where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And we also went on to look at like and unlike fractions. And we said the like fractions are those fractions that have the same denominators. I'll give an example. You have something like 1, 2 over 3 and 1 over 3. This is 2/3 and this is 1/3. Right? So if you see fractions like this, they are called like fractions. They are like fractions. Why? Because they have the same denominator. So when you have fractions with the same denominator, you call them like fractions. But if you have fraction like this is 2/3 and this is 1/4. If you look at the denominators, they are different. So fractions like this are called unlike fractions. So if the denominators are the same, they are alike, okay? The same alike. They are like fractions, but when the denominators are not the same, they are unlike fractions. But today, what we are going to focus on is the addition and subtraction of like fractions. So we're going to be looking at something like this, like fractions, where the denominators are the same. We're going to see how we add them and how we subtract them. Okay, so we're going to take some examples, and then with a couple of examples we're going to take, you will definitely understand the concept, because it is quite straightforward and very easy. So for introduction, we have here that to add like fractions, all you need to do is add the numerators and write the sum, that is the answer you get when you add the numerators, and write it over the denominator. You don't add the denominators together, you just write the same number that is common to the two fractions. Okay, for example, you have a number here on the board, 2/3 and 1/3. Assuming we're asked to add these numbers, your 3 will still remain as your denominator. You're not adding the 3. All you need to do is just add the 2 and the 1. You add the 2 and the 1, the answer you get, you write it over the 3. You just pick the 3 and write it. Okay, so we're going to look at a few examples so that we understand this concept better. So here we have 2 examples on the board to start with. The first one here says 2/5, that is 2 over 5 plus 1/5, 1 over 5. 2/5 plus 1/5. Now, if you look at the 2 fractions, you will find out that they have the same denominator. The number 5 is common to the 2 of them. So this is a like fraction. Following what we saw earlier, to do this kind of addition, all you need to do is focus on the numerators, the numbers at the top. It's the numbers at the top you focus on that you do the addition for, and whatever answer you get, you simply write it over the denominator. Just pick one of the denominator and add. And write. You're not going to add the denominators, you just write it back there. So let's do this first one. So here we have, you just add 2 and 1 together, okay? Now there is a way we can also represent this, maybe to make it a little bit more, less, how would I put it, less confusing, okay? So we just do 2, pick the numerators, plus 1, okay? You divide it, you write it over 5. Okay, I'm just trying to make it look easy for you to work with. Otherwise, you can just add directly from here. 2 plus 1, you get your answer, and then write the answer over 5. Okay, but if this helps, you can also write it like this. Just pick out the numerators, you write them over. You just pick the denominator, the number that is common to the 2 of them as denominator. You just write it out. So now you have 2 plus 1 gives you 3, and that is 3 over 5. So that means 2/5 plus 1/5 gives you 3/5. That's 3 over 5. You can see it's very simple. All you need to do is just to add the numerators together, you get your answer. Okay, so next we're going to look at the number here, the second example. We're going to look at the second example. So here you have the numerators are 3 and 2. So you have 3 plus 2 divided by 7 or over 7. Okay, now what do you do next? You add the numerators. 3 plus 2, that gives us 5, and that is over 7. That's the answer. You can see it's very simple and straightforward. It's simple and straightforward. We're going to look at the third example, and this third example is a kind of peculiar, and I'm deliberately picking it out to show us something. Okay, I want to pick it out and use it as an example so that we can learn from it. Okay, so we're going to check that one out now. So the next example we're going to look at, the peculiar one, is 3/8 plus 5/8. 3 over 8 plus 5 over 8. Okay, so let's go on. So you have 3 plus 5. You rule your horizontal line and you pick your denominator, which is common to the 2 fractions, and the number there is 8. So 3 plus 5 over your 8. Now let's add and see what we arrive at. So 3 plus 5, that gives us 8, and then our denominator is also 8. Now in fraction, whenever you come up with a number like this, you won't just leave it as it is. Okay, in fraction, this is not a way to represent fraction. Whenever you have a number up and down, the same number up and down, that means it's that number out of itself. If it's 8, for instance, let's use 8 pizza, or pieces of a pizza rather. I hope this is okay, we can see that. So you have that, that's 8 pieces. Okay, now remember when we were introducing fraction, we said if you pick one slice, for instance, of this 8 pieces of pizza, it will be 1 out of 8. if you pick 2, if you pick out 2 slices, it will be represented as 2 out of 8. Okay, so depending on the pieces you are picking. Now imagine someone picks all of the pieces. What does that mean? If somebody picks the 8 pieces, that's what we are representing as 8 out of 8, right? So if somebody picks the 8 of these pizza pieces, what does that mean? The person has picked the whole pizza. If the person picks the 8 pieces, remember everything here is 8 pieces, and then somebody picks the 8 pieces, that means the person has picked all of the pizza. And the pizza is how many? It's a whole, it's just one whole number. So that means whenever you have a number upon over itself, like 4 over 4, 3 over 3, any number like that, 10 over 10, 10 out of 10, 3 out of 3, 4, 8 out of 8, it means 1. So I'm just using this pizza now, you know, and the pieces of pizza to show you why it is what it is. So 8 out of 8 means everything is gone, and everything is a whole unit, which is 1. Okay, so this is the example I wanted to show us. Like when you do your addition and you meet something like this, okay, it's simply 1. Now I'm not going to introduce you yet to something else, which is adding and then getting a bigger number at the top than what you have at the bottom. When you continue your learning, as you go further in your learning, you're going to encounter such. But for now, we are okay with this. Okay, I just had to bring this up. You may not encounter this at this level, but it's still okay. You may not. But just know that when a number is over itself in fraction, a number out of that same number, the answer is 1. It is 1. So doing like fractions, you may not encounter this. Okay, you may not encounter this, but I just brought it out to show you, and I used the pizza to explain to you why it will be 1. Okay, so this is it for addition of like fractions. I hope it's clear and it's simple enough. The next one we're going to look at will be some examples of subtraction of like fractions. Subtraction of like fraction. It works basically like addition of fractions, of like fractions. The only difference is that instead of adding the numerators, you're going to be subtracting. It's basically the same thing. So we're just going to take a couple of examples and we see how that works. Okay, so to subtract on like fractions, all you need to do is subtract the smaller numerator from the bigger numerator, and then you write your answer over the denominator. It's pretty much like how you carry out the addition of like fractions. Okay, it's just that in subtracting, you need to be mindful of your arrangement, because the smaller one needs to be taken away from the bigger one. So you write your smaller, the one with the bigger numerator first, and then put your minus sign before you write the fraction with the smaller numerator, and then you go ahead to subtract. Okay, unlike addition, on addition it doesn't really matter how you place the fractions. You're adding them all together. You're adding the two numerators together, so it doesn't really make a difference if the big one is reading first or the smaller one is reading first. You're arriving on the same answer. But for subtraction, you need to make sure you write the fraction with the bigger numerator first, put your minus sign, and write the fraction with the smaller numerator. Okay, and then you go ahead and subtract, just like we did in addition. And whatever answer you arrive at, you write it over the denominator. So we're going to look at a few examples just to help us get a better understanding of this. Okay, let's take a look at the two examples on the board. We have 3/5 minus 1/5. 3 over 5 minus 1 over 5. Or 3 out of 5, take away 1 out of 5. So let's see. Just like we do when we are arranging the addition of like fractions, it's the same thing we're going to do here. So we take the numerators, only the sign is different, and also the arrangement, we are mindful of it to make sure that the bigger number appears first. Okay, just imagine if I wrote 1 minus 3. That is, I put 1/5 here minus 3/5. It's going to affect our answer, right? Because that would mean we are trying to subtract a bigger number from a smaller number. But at this stage, that's not what we are doing, okay? We are taking it down to a basic and simple level. So be careful to make sure that the number with the bigger numerator always stays first and then the smaller one next. So when you arrange, this is where we're going to come up with, okay? You now do your simple subtraction. This is simple, isn't it? 3 take away 2. 1, count up to 3. 1 and 2, 3. You just have 2 there. So this is 2 out of 5. So 3/5 minus 1/5 gives you 2/5. Okay, you see it's very simple. Now let's look at the second example. We have 4/9 minus 3/9. Okay, take away 3/9 from 4/9, or 4 out of 9 minus 3 out of 9. So first we look at the numerators. So we do 4 minus 3 over 9, right? And this gives us 4 take away 3 is 1, and then you write your denominator, which is 9. Wow, this is easy, I guess. I want to believe you find it very, very easy. All you need to do is just take care of the numerators. If you are adding them, add the numerators alone. If it's subtraction, subtract the numerators alone. The only thing you have to be mindful of is your arrangement of the numerators when you are subtracting. And that arrangement has to be from the question anyway at your level will be such that the bigger fraction will be written before the smaller fraction. Okay? You won't be expected to be the one trying to figure out which fraction is bigger to come first or which fraction is smaller to come next. Okay? So your question will always be in the form that the fraction with the bigger numerator comes first minus the fraction with the smaller numerator at this level. Okay? And then all you need to focus your attention on is either adding the numerators together to get your answer if it's addition, or subtracting the smaller numerator from the bigger numerator to get your answer in the case of subtraction. Okay, so it's just as simple as that. So today here is where we come to the end of this lesson. We hope to continue next week. Really hope to continue with you next week. So until then, stay safe and stay blessed.